So my oldest kid is completely obsessed with the 90s, and she often asks what it was like growing up during that time. I usually answer with something like, "My dear, it was a hell of a time to be alive."
You suck, you jackass!
Howdy, and thanks for clicking on this video to see what this jackass has to say. I appreciate ya. So I've had this YouTube channel for about 3 years now, and like any small YouTuber, I've had my ups and downs, some good exposure, no exposure, and everything in between. I started this channel to talk mostly about movies, and you know what? Mostly movies I talked. Over these last 3 years, I've been to the theater what feels like 1,000 times. And you know what? I'm probably only exaggerating a little bit there. I work a full-time job. I have a wife and 3 kids. And over the last month of watching what feels like the 60th forgettable film this year, honestly, I knew it was time for a change. Everyone knows Hollywood is all but bankrupt of ideas, regurgitating the same crap, charging a fortune, and leaving the customer frustrated and broke. And honestly, I can't do it anymore. I've spent way too much time watching new dog shit to talk about it unpassionately with people who genuinely aren't passionate about it either. All that to say, I'm still gonna review some new movies in the short section on my channel, but I will be much choosier. I'm not getting any younger. I want to spend more time with my family and talk about things I actually like. So that brings us to this part of the discussion. Every week from now on, I'm gonna drop 2 long-form videos, one about a deep dive into a topic about a movie, series, or person, and one retro review. I'm gonna go back and watch some older movies, many I've seen before, some I haven't, and give it an updated review. As I've spent more time thinking about this, I think for some reason this feels fresh, and it's way more my style. I want to go back and revisit the movies that got me passionate about the craft to begin with. Back when studios, actors, and directors took chances and made something fresh and inventive. So with that said, if you want to embark on this journey with yours truly, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit me up in the comments with some movies you'd like to see me review. Alright. Enough self-indulgent nonsense. Let's talk about this ham-fisted banger from the 90s, Demolition Man. So I think Demolition Man might be the most perfectly stupid smart movie to ever come out. And this one came out in the heart of the 90s. Now on the surface, Demolition Man looks like your typical 90s testosterone-fueled action flick. You've got Sylvester Stallone doing his best shithouse impression, Wesley Snipes giving Nick Cage a run for his money for the most overacted bad guy of the decade, and Sandra Bullock before she became America's sweetheart. But underneath all that 90s cheese is a movie that predicted our future with scary accuracy and managed to be both a love letter to and a critique of action movies at the same time. And you know what? The premise is beautifully ridiculous. John Spartan, aka the Demolition Man, is a loose cannon cop who causes massive property damage, but the dude gets results. Think every 80s action hero cranked up to 11. During a hostage rescue gone wrong, by the way, in a fairly dystopian 1996 Los Angeles, both he and psychopath Simon Phoenix get frozen in a cryo prison for decades. And how they depicted Los Angeles in 1996 is scary accurate for today. It was fairly dystopian. So those two wake up in 2032 in San Angeles, a sterile utopia where swearing gets you fined, all restaurants are Taco Bell, and the cops have never dealt with actual violence. And that, I think, is where this movie gets interesting, because it's not just making fun of action movies, it's making fun of us. The future society in Demolition Man is what happens when we take political correctness, health consciousness, and risk aversion to their absolute extremes. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Because honestly, in 1993, this seemed like satire. In 2025, it feels almost prophetic. So next, let's talk characters, because this is where the movie really shines, in my opinion. John Spartan isn't just a mindless action hero. He's a man completely out of time, struggling to adapt to a world that's gone soft. Stallone, who I think at the time was getting a bit long in the tooth for this kind of role, actually uses that to his advantage here. This isn't peak physical specimen Stallone. This is a dude who's been frozen for 36 years and is just trying to figure out how to use 3 seashells. By the way, I'm still figuring out how the hell they use those. Wesley Snipes as Simon Phoenix is absolutely unhinged in the best way possible. This man committed to being a bleach blonde psychopath and never looked back. Every line delivery is like he's trying to win an award for most theatrical villain, and you know what? If there was an award for that, he absolutely would have won.
Simon says die.
He has peak 90s villain energy right here. But here's the smart part. Phoenix isn't just crazy. He's been programmed with skills he shouldn't have, and the movie slowly reveals that he's actually a pawn in a larger conspiracy. The real villain of this tale is Dr. Cocteau, who's using Phoenix to eliminate the underground resistance so he can create his perfect sterile society. It's a classic dystopian plot hiding inside a buddy cop movie. Dr. Cocteau is essentially a mashup of classic dystopian villains and real-life technocrats like B.F. Skinner. He's the kind of guy who wants to engineer the perfect society by controlling everyone's behavior, just like the big bosses in Brave New World or 1984. He gives off old guy tech bro vibes. And then there's Sandra Bullock's Lenina Huxley, and if that name sounds familiar, it absolutely should. Lenina is a character from Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, one of the most famous dystopian novels ever written. And Huxley comes from, well, you get it. The whole movie's backed with references to classic dystopian literature. They're telling you right up front that this is a social commentary disguised as an action flick. Huxley really represents our curiosity about the past and our desire for something real in an artificial world. She's really the bridge between the sterile future and Spartan's chaotic past, and Bullock plays her with just the right mix of naivete and intelligence. Hey, after watching this, maybe there is hope for the human touch in an ever-evolving AI-laden future. Maybe. Now, making this movie apparently was a complete disaster. The production went 40 days over schedule, going from 72 days to 112 days. Stallone got injured and was out for a week. Heavy rains delayed filming. A soundstage caught fire. They went through 5 assistant directors. And Warner Brothers executives were apparently losing their shit over hiring Marco Brambilla, a commercial director with no feature film experience. And speaking of Brambilla, let's talk about this guy for a second. He was this hotshot commercial director from Canada who worked for Ridley and Tony Scott's production company. He'd done ads for Levi's, IBM, Nike, big budget, high concept stuff, but after Demolition Man, his Hollywood career basically flatlined. He did the movie Excess Baggage with Alicia Silverstone and Benicio del Toro, and a TV miniseries called Dinotopia, and then that's pretty much it for major Hollywood projects. The dude went back to making art installations and video art, which I think coming out at this time is a little crazy. The movie was a solid box office success. It earned about $58 million in North America and $159 million worldwide. And critics were pretty mixed, as you might imagine. Some liked its satirical edge and performances, while others thought it was too over the top or disjointed. Today on Rotten Tomatoes, it holds a 64% approval rating, and audiences gave it a B cinema score. So it was a moderate hit with critics and fans. It made money and is looked back on more fondly today than it was over 30 years ago. But let's get back to the heart of the movie, the relationship between Spartan and Phoenix. These two are perfect foils for each other. Spartan represents old school justice, messy, violent, but ultimately moral. Phoenix represents chaos for chaos's sake, violence without purpose. They're both relics from a more brutal time, but only one of them has grown as a person. I think the genius of their dynamic is that they're both equally out of place in 2032, but for opposite reasons. Spartan can't adapt to the peaceful society because he's hardwired to fight injustice, and Phoenix can't adapt because he's hardwired to create chaos. They need each other, Spartan to stop Phoenix and Phoenix to give Spartan purpose. Let's be honest about what this movie is though. It's pure 90s cheese, and that's what makes it beautiful. The one-liners are absolutely ridiculous.
Send a maniac to catch a maniac.
How can you justify destroying a $7 million mini-mall to rescue a girl whose ransom was only $25,000?
Fuck you, lady!
These lines are so perfectly cheesy that they loop back around to being brilliant. The action sequences are gorgeously over the top. The museum shootout where Phoenix gets access to every weapon from the 20th century. It's just pure action movie perfection. And can we talk about how they literally got General Motors to give them 18 concept cars and then destroyed most of them? I think that's commitment to the craft right there. But here's why I think this movie is secretly genius. It's predicting our current cultural moment with scary accuracy. The society in San Angeles isn't evil, it's just taken all of our current anxieties about health, safety, and political correctness to their logical extreme. Everyone's safe, but no one's free. Everyone's healthy, but no one's happy. Everyone's polite, but no one's honest. And sex is, well, it's a VR game brought to you by big tech. The movie asks a fundamental question: what happens when we eliminate all risk, all conflict, all discomfort from society? And the answer is that we create a world so boring and sterile that a psychopathic killer becomes the most interesting thing in it. And this future would also be every food tuber's worst nightmare. Every restaurant's Taco Bell. Taco Bell won the franchise wars and became the only restaurant in existence. Today, in real life, we're watching massive corporate consolidation eliminate local businesses and homogenize our culture. The movie was making fun of corporate dominance, but turns out it was just a little bit early. Even the video calling, the automated cars, the obsession with germs. This movie pretty much predicted so much of our current reality that honestly, I think it's a little unsettling. So what's the final verdict? It's a movie about finding balance between order and chaos, between safety and freedom, between the past and the future. And it delivers that message while also giving us some of the best action sequences and one-liners of the decade. I mean, seriously, the amount of dumb gun battles is absolutely ridiculous and awesome. So I think that's gonna about wrap it up. Demolition Man, the smartest dumb movie of the 90s, or maybe the dumbest smart movie. Either way, it's a perfect time capsule of 90s action cinema that somehow managed to predict the future while making us laugh at ourselves. And honestly, in our current timeline, maybe we could use a little more John Spartan energy. Someone willing to blow things up to save the day, even if the paperwork is gonna be a complete nightmare. If you haven't seen Demolition Man, get on it. I mean, you might roll your eyes multiple times while you're watching it, but you won't be able to deny how much fun you're having, along with some of the relevant things that was predicted. If I were to hit this movie with a grade, I'd give it a solid B. Entertaining, over the top, funny, and most of all, thought-provoking in the cheesiest way possible. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to add some movies you'd like to see added to this weekly list. Make sure to like this, share it with a friend, and subscribe. You'd be doing me a big favor and really helping the channel out. As always, the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, but what do I know? I'm but a mere jackass. I'll try to do better next time. Catch you later, friends.
That talks to